Welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast, joined by Dalton, Hank, Chris. We're about to break down Florida and LSU. But before we do that, Chris, what's a theme from college football last weekend that is fresh in your mind on Monday night?
I think the theme that kept out of my mind last Monday night was coaching matters in college football. I mean, we laugh about it, but how many teams do we see like South Florida versus Florida where it's like that shouldn't happen, or Army beating Kansas State and you're looking going that shouldn't happen. Look, we thought in the first week, okay, as long as you have talent, any good coach can win. Now we're starting to see like there's layers to this. So and this ties into, I think, this game perfectly. It's Florida versus LSU. Both teams are very talented. Just one team has a good, not great coach. The other one has a coach who probably might get fired at the end of the year because he just kind of is an idiot.
So, Hank, what's a story from last weekend that is permeating your mind from college football?
Besides the Washington game, I'd just say the continued struggles from Clemson. They don't look like the same school. They don't look like the same program. I think Dabo's time is coming to an end here pretty soon. So I wouldn't see I need to see a big bounce back coming up because Cade Klubnik doesn't look up to par. He doesn't look like a really high draftable guy. The loss of Antonio Williams really was apparent because of his injury. So Clemson has a long way to go. I think this season, and for a team that was favorited to win the ACC, it's just not looking good over there.
Dalton, we'll get to Florida in a minute. Any college football story that you want to share that's not Florida related?
Yeah, I think all the big-time quarterbacks coming out the gate are kind of struggling, right? The ones that are supposed to be good preseason. And Nussmeier's been the best, and he's been average probably. Klubnik's really struggled. Sellers had a bad game against South Carolina State. All of them have been – March Manning, of course. We all talked about that week one. Bounced back a little bit week two, but that was San Jose State. I think the quarterback play, who's going to really jump out ahead of the pack and try to be QB1 in this draft?
Okay, and Dalton, you are the resident Florida fan within Draft Professors. We're covering Florida-LSU. What are your immediate thoughts on this game here?
I think Florida's play calling is probably the worst in the country. So that's the truth of the matter. Billy Napier is the play caller and the head coach, man. The fans been wanting him to give it up for 3 or 4 years to play calling, and he won't do it. He's too stubborn. Even when he sees his offense doesn't work really, he throws screens and runs up the middle. And then he throws it deep with third and long. It's not good offense. LSU runs a great offense, so I think that's what it's going to come down to in this game. Florida has a lot of talent, a lot of good draftable players that we're going to talk about here later, but I just think the coach is Ryan Kelly's not great, but he's a lot better than Billy Napier.
So, Hank, when you're looking at this game, what storylines are kind of like at the macro level for you as you look at Florida and LSU?
Probably the biggest one's going to be the quarterbacks. Like Garrett Nussmeier is supposed to be one of the top guys in this class. For most people, DJ Lagway is going to be one of the top guys next year for a lot of summer scouting. I think that's the big one. Another one is just these cornerback wide receiver matchups. I would really I want to see how Mansour Lane and Ashton Stamps stack up against, Eugene Wilson, stack up against J.Michael Sturdivant. So those are going to be some fun matchups all around. It's going to be a good SEC football game.
And Chris, when you look at Florida LSU, what are you thinking are the storylines that you want to dive into?
I want to see if, the defensive players can rise to the challenge. I mean, for Tyreak Sapp, this is a guy who he's a mid-15 to 30, overall pick. Can he take the next step? Is he just a very good defensive end like a Karlaftis or Dietrich Wise, or can he be more? I mean, and then you look at Harold Perkins Jr. and Whit Weeks. Both of them They have everything. They are excellent in terms of coverage. They're blitzers. Is size going to be a problem? Can they play bigger than their size? Can they handle Jake Slaughter, who is probably the number one center in terms of draft prospects? I'm looking forward to seeing what trenches and what the defensive lines bring.
Okay, so why don't we start by diving into the quarterbacks? That's always a good place to start. So, Chris, where do you have Nussmeier? Like, is he a first-round guy for you, or is he not there yet?
I'm trying to put this because this is going to be a hot take, and people are going to say, I don't know what I'm talking about. He will be a first-round draft pick, but he's closer to a second or third-round draft pick in the current NFL that we're looking at. I mean, you look at him, and here's the breakdown when you get it. Garrett, Nussmeier, impressive touch, cool under pressure, quick processor, effective throwing on the move, commands respect in the huddle, natural arm, but he doesn't have a big arm. He's not really over athletic. He struggles against disguised coverages. He has, the knee tendon of the basketball tendonitis knee that people talk about could be, tricky. He can't be over aggressive, looking for big plays, and he's 6'1", 200 pounds. And if he was 10, 15 years ago, yeah, he's a first-round draft pick. He's Andy Dalton. He's Drew Brees. And you can work around him in the scheme. But in today's NFL, like we're watching with the last couple of weeks, just Mahomes versus Herbert, Allen versus Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels. Right now we're watching the Bears quarterback, Kaleb Williams. You need to be a special athlete because the defense is getting faster. Defensive schemes are getting, more aggressive. And Nussmeier just doesn't have that. He's a solid quarterback like a Mac Jones, Andy Dalton. And in this NFL, that's not what you need.
So, Hank, where are you on Nussmeier?
Yeah, I'm more with Chris, except I'm just gonna plan it. I think he's more of just like an early day 3, late day 2 true talent. Now, will he go high in the draft? Probably, but just based off pure talent, what you get is anticipation, pocket awareness, and I think that he exposes zone coverage well. But other than that, this is a guy with a lackluster arm talent. He tries to play like this gunslinger, but his arm won't let him actually play like that. My favorite thing about him is that I always say that I wish he played like Drew Aller, and I wish Drew Aller played like Garrett Nussmeier. I wish they just swapped play styles, and one of them was more aggressive. And for being a fifth-year senior, Garrett Nussmeier is shockingly inexperienced, and he has 9-inch hands. He's really just undersized, lackluster arm. You have nice anticipation, but like other than that, for me, it's just not really what you're going to want out of an NFL level quarterback. Will he go high? Probably. Do I see him having some crazy success? No, I just don't see it.
So, Hank, who do you think is a better quarterback prospect, DJ Lagway or Garrett Nussmeier?
Lagway by far. He's going to be one of the top guys in 2027. He's got the arm. He's got the athleticism. He's been in that terrible Florida offense now. And I think as long as he gets, I don't want to say he's going to transfer, but as long as there's a change in the way things are called in Florida or he changes his environment, he's going to be a way better quarterback. There has to be some sort of change for people to see that.
So, Dalton, where are you on Lagway versus Nussmeier?
I like Lagway more. The offense doesn't help him at all. The play calling's terrible, like I said earlier. I think he's a great talent. He can throw any ball at any level of the field. He throws a lot of high balls right now, but I think he'll rein that in. He just doesn't have freedom right now to really attack downfield a lot and get them throws out of him. So, like you said, I hope he don't transfer either. Of course, I hope he don't transfer, but he definitely might because I think it would be best interest for him. I can't even lie. I thought coming into the year, everybody thought, we ranked 15th. We're supposed to be good. Billy fixed his offense. Doesn't look like it. So I think, but these guys took the words out of my mouth with Nussmeier. I literally wrote down 10 to 15 years ago, I would have loved him in the first round. So, Not anymore, though. Yeah, I agree. A third round, maybe. I like him there, but he's just a pure game manager, I think. I mean, he just threw 237 against Louisiana Tech, so with a great receiving core.
Okay, so Dalton, being a Florida fan, I'm going to put you on the spot. If you had to pick one player from LSU and put them on Florida, who's your favorite draft prospect on LSU right now?
Just see. One player I think we need most would be probably Harold Perkins type.
Jack Pyburn. Say Jack Pyburn, bro.
Oh,
you want him back. You want him back.
He ain't even on the draft list. I didn't. I'll see if he's playing a lot this week. Hopefully, he doesn't do anything against us. But yeah, I think he would be the best for us because he's versatile player. You can play him in the slot, play him in nickel. He can rush the passer, or he can just play pure linebacker. That'd be good for our defense because we're pretty talented, but our linebacking core got exposed this weekend.
Okay, so you said Harold Perkins, and ironically, Hank, we just did a podcast about an hour and a half ago, and we were talking about Sunturine Perkins. Now we get to talk about Harold Perkins. Which Perkins do you like better, Hank?
Harold Perkins, but barely. I think it's just because he actually plays the right role in college. Sunturine Perkins is being made out to be like this pure edge rusher, which it's just like it'll work in college, but in the NFL it just won't. While Perkins shows off the versatility more. Perkins just has some really bad lapses in coverage where he tries to make a play, but instead of like in zone, if they're running like a cover 3, he'll leave the middle of the field, he'll bite down on the flat, and he'll all of a sudden the middle of the field is wide open and exposed. So I think when it comes down to it, if Perkins just develops a bit more awareness in zone, he's going to be a perfect weak side linebacker, but like really undersized weak side linebacker. Like he is going to be undersized no matter where he plays, unless the team sees him as a safety. That's like the only other way that he's going to not be undersized. But I don't think he has the overall coverage ability to be a safety. And also I think that his tenacity getting after the quarterback would be wasted at safety. So I think that when it comes down to it, he's in the right role in college, but that role in the NFL isn't really going to be around. The guy I always go to is like Brian Flores in Minnesota. He'll find a role for a guy like him. Find a role for a guy like Sunturine Perkins. But he has a really specific skill set that needs to be appealed to from NFL teams. So that's just going to cause him to fall down the board because at the end of the day, he's not really a guy you can throw into any scheme and have him work out.
So, Chris, where are you on Harold Perkins?
I like him. I mean, look, he has elite speed. He can create havoc as a pass rusher. Granted, you have to be creative with him. He's not going to be a guy who is going to have a lot of, pass rush moves. It's basically just speed. He has a remarkable closing burst when he goes at the ball carries. He can get right after them. He has good instincts. As I said, he can line up if he needs to, if possible, at either edge rusher or to linebacker to safety. He has this relentless motor that it's nonstop. He's always attacking, always pursuing, always going after you. He is pretty good in coverage. He can drop back into zone concepts. He's Nick Bolton. He's Nick Bolton, except maybe a little more thinner, a little bit more taller. You worry about he's coming off ACL surgery, so you worry about durability. Can he keep up the NFL because he is a smaller linebacker. He's not the biggest, so he has to worry about shedding blocks and stacking them. But again, there will be defensive coordinators, Brian Flores, Steve Spagnuolo, who are going to look at him and go, he's a football player. I know what I can use him with. I know what I can't use him with. And because he's this smart, instinctive, fast linebacker, there will be a role for him. And depending on the role, he can flourish in it.
Okay. And Dalton, did you want to weigh in more on Harold Perkins? I asked you which player you wanted. I don't know if you got to say all you wanted to say on Harold Perkins or if you wanted to start jumping and talking about the wide receivers.
I was thinking, what about like a Jamal Adams role for him in the league? Like, he didn't play no coverage really, right? He was basically a blitz and safety every play, which is a made-up spot, but he was really good at it. I think if Perkins could do that in the NFL, maybe. Just something about him.
Seems right. I mean, Jamal Adams now plays more in the middle for the Raiders, but I mean, just a blitzing safety, a run stuffing safety, a guy who can wrap up, a guy who can fly around the field. It makes sense. The only other guy that I'd propose to move over to Florida would just be Mansour Delane. You just don't get corners like that every now and then. He's a top tier college corner. So that's probably the only other guy that I think makes real sense for Florida. But I mean, you wouldn't complain if you added like one of the wide receivers because that's just better depth. But I think Mansour Delane, Harold Perkins are the two right answers for adding to Florida.
Yeah, we could use him for sure.
I'd also added Whit Weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Will Weeks.
Of course.
I mean, he's he needs more coaching up, but he's also that fast linebacker, hybrid sort of safety linebacker attacks. I mean, those guys, especially in today's NFL, where you're chasing after linebackers, you're chasing after tight ends, running backs, tight ends, sometimes a slot wide receiver. Guys like Perkins and Weeks they are gold because you can stick them in there in all 4 downs and not worry about, oh crap, we're going to get exposed by some speedy tight end or pass catching running back who's going to just go off on us.
Okay, well, we have at least 6 wide receivers in this game that will be in the draft conversation either in 2026 or 2027. I'm going to name drop them, and then we can go whichever direction we want. So Eugene Wilson III from Florida and J.Michael Sturdivant from Florida. And then LSU has wide receiver Barion Brown. They have wide receiver Aaron Anderson, wide receiver Nick Anderson, and wide receiver Chris Hilton. So there's 6 wide receivers here. Dalton, I'll start with you. Which of those 6 do you think is the best NFL prospect?
Probably right now it's Aaron Anderson, I'm thinking. I changed a lot of opinions about him the past couple weeks. He had the best game for them against Clemson, 6 catches, 99 yards. He was the real chain mover for them that game, and really kept the offense going. He's undersized, of course, 5'8", 188, but great production last year, 784 yards, and 172 yards through 2 games this year. A lot of these guys that we're going to talk about are undersized, though. Eugene Wilson's one of them. Barion Brown. He's kind of the same receiver as Aaron Anderson, honestly. So they got 2 of the same guys. And they've been the 1 and 2. So they're kind of interchangeable. Barion Brown's a little faster, but not as nuanced as a route runner yet. So I think Aaron Anderson's the best one out of them, but none of them are like round 1 prospects, I don't think.
So, Hank, how about you? Like, which wide receiver in the game do you think is the best NFL prospect?
Yeah, I think it's Eugene Wilson, and then I think there's a drop off. I don't like the direction that wide receivers are headed in, like with the size. So many guys nowadays are 180, 175, and it's not like they're these like crazy elite athletes. So like, it just feels like people are playing at 180 just because they don't want to put on muscle, and they just don't care to put on the muscle. Because if unless you're like some sick athlete who's gonna run by everybody, run a 4.29, like a Xavier Worthy, that's understandable why you play at a lighter weight because you need it to have that elite speed. But if you're going to play at 180 and not be some sort of crazy athlete, there's no reason why you shouldn't be playing 15 pounds heavier. But Eugene Wilson, I think, is just he's just got to stay healthy. He's got all the talent. I think that at the end of the day, he's the highest guy, and he's at like early day 3, could maybe sneak into the back end of day 2. But I think that good speed, good gadget guy. I think that he's smooth in the open field. No drops in his college career yet. I don't know if that's changed yet, but as of 2024, he had none. Just injuries. I think that he loses his footing in the open field more than I'd like. But I think it's Eugene Wilson, and then there's a drop off to my next guy, which is Aaron Anderson. But I don't think I have anyone else in this game with a draftable grade besides those 2. I think that there's a lot of there's NFL guys, but there's not really anyone at that top tier.
Chris, how about you? Which wide receiver in this game is your highest rated NFL prospect?
Man, that is tough because when I'm looking at each wide receiver, it's like you either have the size of guys like Nick Anderson, J.Michael, Sturdivant, but they're so raw. It's like you're going to need patience. And then you have guys like I love Aaron Anderson, but 5'8", 184 pounds is just that's too small in the NFL. But you look, especially when cornerbacks now are getting bigger, around that 215, 220, 6'2". They all run fast. I guess the best one I would have right now in terms of who I think might go the highest is Eugene Wilson, just because he is somewhat in the middle. He is 5'11". He is more of a nuanced runner who can set up defenders with head fakes and and his footwork. He's a twitchy athlete. But again, that's all there's with him. It's the same thing with Anderson. It's like the medical flags, the injuries. It's
and I think
you're worried because can they handle a full 17-game season without missing half of it because they've gotten concussed, collarbone injuries or knee injuries?
So I think there's something to be said, and I think, Hank, you were saying it, I think, on the last podcast too, about there's such a thing as a good college player. So a lot of these wide receivers are going to be among the best wide receivers in college football. But when it comes to measuring an NFL prospect, I think Eugene Wilson III, based on what I've heard, from other draft professors and seeing their boards, is probably the best prospect. He had the freshman breakout that you look for and then ends up getting hurt. And I believe he missed most of last year, correct?
Yeah. But I think, I'll watch him every snap. He usually gets tackled by the first guy. I think people are really overrating his elusiveness, and he's fast. Yeah. But he usually if you touch him, he pretty much goes down.
But that's why I went in my notes. I was like, he looks smooth in the open field, but he's not really shifty.
Yeah.
He's like people who call him shifty. I just don't see that. But he's a smooth mover. It's not like he knows where he wants to go. He's not running without a plan. He can read blocks, but it's just he's not making a lot of people miss like people make him out to be.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think he's a bit overrated just after the catch wise, because we throw a lot of screens, but he's averaging 4.7 yards per catch.
Yeah, so that's pretty low.
No. I don't matter how many screens you run, and you got to make somebody miss, right?
And this year it's like 3.8. He just
4.7 this year. That's what I'm saying. But 8.8 his freshman year. That was so I think even his freshman year was a bit overrated. Like 8.8 yards per catch, 6 touchdowns. Yeah, that's good. But I don't really see it with Eugene. Man, I love him, but he needs to produce more. The offense doesn't help him out. Of course, I'll say that again.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to point out when you're scouting this, and this is something that a lot of us don't know because we can't. Get the inside stuff, but how much of this is like Billy Napier's the bad offensive play coordinator? Good offensive coordinators when they're scouting Wilson are going to go, yeah, if we get him in our system, whether it's the Andy Reid, the Shanahan offense, Washington's RPO, we can get him open. We can make sure that he's not like telegraphing this where all of a sudden, screen, and next thing you know, it's like both safety and cornerback are running after Wilson. It's like, oh crap.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people are going to see. Because that's what happens when you look at like someone who comes out like Tennessee, where they just run that high school offense, and it's not really translatable to the NFL. But then you see a guy like Dante Thornton, who's 6'5", 230, runs insanely well, and an NFL team like the Raiders is like, you know what? It's round 4. I want this guy on my team because I can coach him to run an actual offense, an actual high level competent offense.
So, do we think Eugene Wilson III is in the 2026 draft, or do we think he's going to be in the 2027 draft?
2027 minimum, I'd say.
Yeah, if he's smart, he'll stay 2027 because I don't think he'll go past like 5th, 6th round of this draft coming up.
Right. Yeah, probably not.
And that was going to take me to the next player, and it's the wide receiver. So there's 6 wide receivers that we listed. The wide receiver that is probably like flying under the radar from a pro standpoint, but he's probably the least flashiest wide receiver in the game, is LSU wide receiver Chris Hilton. So I believe 6 feet tall, 6 feet 0 inches, 190 pounds. That's what ESPN has him listed as.
Yeah,
and he's also a good blocker, which NFL teams like. Whereas you look at Barion Brown, who from the LSU standpoint, his floor is a kick returner.
Mm-hmm.
But whether or not you can use Barion Brown in an NFL offense, there's probably a discussion there.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Chris Hilton, who can play wide receiver, could be a gunner for you.
There's one major problem with Chris Hilton right now, And it's that all four of us in this call have more receiving yards than him on the year. He has -1 yard.
Yeah.
So he has 2 targets, 1 catch, and he just is lost in this LSU room right now. I mean, there's also just like I don't see it with him. I think that the LSU wide receiver room is just too deep. There's too much talent, and it's going to help them contend for a national championship, but it's not going to help Chris Hilton's draft stock.
He's also a guy I think that we can agree is he's a great athlete, not really a great receiver. Like he has problems with drops when it comes to him. He has issues. He catches the ball into his pads in his chest, and maybe sometimes you can fix it. We've seen that to an extent with Gabe Davis. Armand St. Brown, where you just work and work and work and work and literally work until your hands are good. But that is tough. That's the rarity. Usually, if you can't catch, you're just kind of screwed.
Yeah, I mean his drop percentage last year was 18%, so that's pretty high. But to be fair, it's also in somewhat limited reps. But also, I mean, his career ADOT average depth of target is at over 20, so he's really just working downfield right now. And when you're just working downfield and all of a sudden you're getting lost in a wide receiver room, there's just not really much for you at the next level.
Yeah. He's only played like 16 career games. He's been hurt a lot, and when he does play, I mean, he only has 23 career catches. So I don't think this guy's really on the draft radar. He has 3 career touchdowns, 400 career yards. Nothing to really talk about. He had a couple good games in his career. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the bowl game against Baylor, which probably got a lot of people excited. I think he had over 100 yards, but I mean, as of now, there's just nothing.
Yeah, I don't think so. He was. They were talking about him all off season, and he has 1 catch. So yeah, I think he said if he can put it together. No, I don't think he can. It doesn't look like it.
And it's just the wide receiver room has too much talent. That's just what it is. He's gonna get lost in there.
Yeah, he's already
stand out.
Lost.
Yeah.
So on the flip side of the wide receivers are the corners. So there's a few corners in this game. Devin Moore from Florida, Ashton Stamps from LSU, and Mansour Delane from LSU. Which of those corners, Chris, could prove the most to you in this game relative to the skill of the other team's wide receivers?
It's Mansour Delane to me. He is the premier, you need to draft this guy player. I mean, you break it down here for us, and he's 6'1", 187 pounds. He is just an incredible in terms of mental athlete. Like he can anticipate route combinations before they materialize. He understands what the quarterback sometimes wants to do. He has good quickness. He has a safety mentality against the run where he will attack you. I like how he can change direction. He doesn't, he's not one of these guys who's just a pure run straight fast ahead, but then, he has a tough time with changing on a dime, which a lot of wide receivers do. And he is that cornerback who can play nickel, corner, slot, and sometimes even deep safety. The frame is a worry. I mean, 187 pounds for a cornerback is sort of like, you need to put some weight on. He doesn't have elite length, and he doesn't have deep speed. So, elite wide receiver is going to give him trouble. But other than that, he is the guy I have like a day 2 cornerback, 2nd, 3rd round, because he has a size. He understands the position, which I think you need that for a cornerback. Okay, you can't, just read the quarterback size and then get, looked away. And he understands, I think, just the position, what it takes, and how to cover all 3, which if you're a cornerback, that's what you need to do. Like, can you handle a slot? Can you handle the outside? Can you handle the route runners? He does all of those things.
Yeah. I'll just piggyback off that. I'll also just say that I think that in terms of, most to prove is just Mansour Delane. Looked good against Clemson, was like the biggest standout in that game, in my opinion. His ability to play both man and zone is just such a complete player, I'll say, and it's going to make him fit into a lot of NFL schemes. He's a fluid corner. He's my cornerback 8 right now, but that was for summer scouting. I won't update my rankings until week 6-ish. Like it's going to take a while, but I think that Mansour Lane very easily has the most to prove because I think he's the most legit guy here. I haven't watched like a deep dive into Devin Moore. I know a lot of people like him, like as like a sleeper guy in the draft, and I do like Ashton Stamps, but I just don't think that he. I don't think he'll come out this year. I think he'll probably be a senior at LSU next year. But I think that just in terms of most to prove, most to show, is the guy that is going to be contending for CB1 possibly by the end of all this immense sort of delay.
Dalton, how about you?
I'm not going to go with Devin Moore, actually, just because the LSU receivers are so fast. And he's a big corner, 6'2", 198. He's not really known for his speed. He's more of a zone guy, great zone coverage, man. But if we have to man up, that's where he kind of gets exposed sometimes. So if he's able to run with these LSU receivers, I think his stock can really go up. That's what he needs to show. Our corners have played really good so far this year. That's the only position on the team probably. They haven't been exposed. The play calling's also been bad on defense. They've played a lot of soft zone where they just let them throw curls all day in front of them. But they let him be aggressive this game, I hope, and he can prove something. Like they said about Delane, he's already, pretty highly regarded. So I think he'll have a good game because our receivers aren't that scary. So I think Devin Moore's got more to prove overall. So maybe he can get his draft stock up.
Okay. Anybody else on the offensive side of the ball? I guess, yeah. I'm thinking we haven't talked about Austin Barber or Josh. Was it Josh Thompson? Yeah.
Yeah, Jake Slaughter.
Yeah. We can do the O-line. I'll start off with Barber just because I literally just did my deep dive on him right before the show. I like him. I think he'd be okay at tackle in the NFL, but I think he'd be a great guard. I think that he'd be one of the better guards in the NFL. I think he'd make a great living at guard. I just think he can give up his outside shoulder too much. He can leave his chest a little open. I think that, he's susceptible to bend. I think that once he goes up against a guy with a good bull rush, he's going to really struggle. But other than that, the way that he was opening up lanes in the run game was really impressive. And I think that if you put him at a left guard, right guard, he's just going to be able to run, make in between the tackles running really easy for a lot of teams. And then I'm not the biggest Jake Slaughter guy. I do think that he's my center 5. I want to say, yeah, center 5 as of now, close to like midday 3. I just think that I'm worried about his weight. He's 294. I think that pure power gives him problems, and I just didn't see anything that like really popped out to me, and I was like, wow, Jake Slaughter is one of the top guys in the IOL class. But that's all I got on the offensive line.
So have you watched Josh Thompson yet, Hank?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
It's funny.
Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, it's funny he says that because I'm not really high on Barber, and I'm bullish on Jake Slaughter. Look, to me, Slaughter is a guy who he's only allowed 1 sack and 800 snaps, which if you're in the SEC, that's pretty freaking impressive. He has excellent pass protection technique. He understands. He can diagnose blitzes. He can identify defensive front pre-snaps, communicate adjustments. He has a good punch. He's tall for a center, which is good. He has outstanding leverage. I get it. He's not this like we were talking about last week when we were discussing Missouri and Kansas. He's not the Kansas center who I forget the name escapes me yet. 6'5", 335, just this monster of a man who's going to maul you with size. That's not him. But and he needs to get probably physically bigger. Big defensive tackles are going to probably have their way with them. But look, considering the NFL, where we're getting more and more, coaches who are like, look, the center needs to call, make the call. The center needs to identify pre-snap reads, identify, where the blitz is coming from. To me, Slaughter's, a second round, third round draft, pick because you can stick him in a lot of these pass-happy offenses. He will step in there and he'll flourish because he's a smart, athletic center, and those guys are worth their weight in gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'll just add one more thing. We go to Dalton, but I think for me, if you just add some weight, it would make me a lot less worried about his ability to handle power in the NFL, which is where I'm just like the most worried. I think there was a rep against Tennessee where Tyree West just, got a clear one-on-one like bull rush opportunity on him, and he drove him back like 5-7 yards and right into why am I blank into Lagway's grill. Or it might have been Mertz. It was Mertz at that time. So I'm worried about his ability against power right now. Is the only thing holding me back. But if he just adds some weight, I'd feel a lot more confident in Jake Slaughter.
Yeah, I think it's a big prove-it week for Florida's O-line for sure. We've been up 16 points against South Florida, and after the first drive, they weren't really opening up any running lanes for Jaden Ball. He had 50 rushing yards first drive, probably like 20 the rest of the game, and it wasn't because we weren't handing him off. He just had nowhere to run. So I don't know if that was more on the interior. It looked like it. So I think Slaughter's got a lot to prove this week. LSU doesn't have the strongest defensive interior. No draft guys that we're going to talk about, but we couldn't overpower South Florida. So I think Barber and Slaughter's got a lot to prove this week. I was big on Barber before the year, but he had a huge false start this week too. The last drive of the game, 3rd and 2, moved to 3rd and 7. And that was a home game, so you can't have that either. I don't like the false starts. I don't like any of these guys in the day 1, day 2, honestly. I think Barber and Slaughter both like round 4 guys. Because like Hank said, I think Barber is more of a guard in the NFL. So many tackles we talk about nowadays.
And I mean, I can – go ahead, Chris.
No, I get this. I'll quickly add to what you guys are saying. I get what Dalton is saying. I get what, in terms of his size. Because you look and it's like, okay, 6'5", 300 pounds, and as Hank and Dalton prefer, they want to. I'm guessing you guys will probably love Foster from Iowa. I mean, this is a guy 6'5", 330. You want these road graders, just go in there, bull rush people, handle defensive tackles. So I get it. If you were a running team, you're probably looking at Slaughter going, it's not my cup of tea. But for passing, I think that's again, this lies on Florida. If they had a better coach, can utilize Slaughter better. He understands how to make life easier for a quarterback passing wise. And again, it's one of those certain teams are going to love this guy, and other teams are going to go, no, he's just too small.
Yeah, I'll touch on like the Willie Lampkin comment that just came up because I did like Willie Lampkin, but he got cut by the Chargers. He didn't even make the practice squad, and then he signed to the Eagles and he was placed on IR 2 days later. So he's not really making waves in the NFL yet. I will say I will just quickly run through the 4 guys I have in front of him. I have Lyndon Cooper out of Pittsburgh at my center 1, 6'2", 310. I have Iapani, not even going to try the last name, out of Oregon at center 2, 6'2", 325. I got Brailsford, which might be shocking because he's undersized, but if I had to pick between the undersized centers, I'd go with Brailsford, 6'2", 290. And then I have Connor Liu at number 4, 6'3", 300. So I'm not opposed to these smaller guys. It's just I think that when I was watching the film, I was just a lot more worried about Slaughter's ability to handle the bull rush and handle a guy who got at his chest. I think he'll be a fine NFL center. Like I do think, like you said, pass heavy offense. He's going to be just fine. He can definitely earn a living there. But I think it's more specific that it would have to be a pass heavy scheme. And I think still, if you just hit 300, like that would just make me feel 305.
And we've had the center discussions on numerous podcasts in the Draft Professor group chat. Center as a position is moderately devalued. Not as devalued maybe as like a safety or a running back, but it is devalued from the standpoint of if a first-round grade is an immediate starter and you use a second-round pick on a player that you expect to start really soon, the number of teams that go into the draft with a needed center is really low.
Yeah, I think this is like we're really seeing underrated. If you watch the Lions game this weekend and you watch Graham Glasgow play center for the Lions, it was bad. Yeah. It was really bad. You could tell they lost Frank Ragnow. You could tell that they were missing that all-pro caliber center to really stir up the middle, running between the tackles. It was very clear that his impact was missed heavily because Graham Glasgow looked not up to par with what the Lions standard was for running the ball.
Right. And you could find a guard that you could convert to center. Like, didn't Cooper Beebe, I think, do that for Dallas?
Yeah,
right?
Dallas did that. There was another guy, like top draft pick. Why am I blanking? The guy that went to Tampa Bay, Graham Barton.
Yep.
He did that as well, but I think he went from tackle to center. So like you can find centers everywhere.
Yep. So if you're a pure center and that's what you do, I still think you're more likely to find a center on day 3. And if the center grades day 2, that's just like an exceptional promotion, because the position itself, like you tend to see most running backs, safeties, and centers go on day 3. It's just the position is devalued. You can look at, how the draft goes. That's maybe a moderator opinion, but so the one matchup that I'm going to be curious to hear the results of will be LSU guard Josh Thompson against defensive tackle Kaleb Banks. How high, Chris, do you have Kaleb Banks?
I don't know, because first he has to be healthy, and that's the one where you're going, what's going on? And maybe Dalton can help me out with this. Like he had surgery in offseason for a lower leg issue, and he's been in a boot. I mean, look at just the pure numbers, and he could go as high as low first round. I mean, he is everything you want. He's 6'6", 325 pounds. Explosive. He can, legitimately go from VO technique, 9 technique. He is excellent movement for his size. He's gotten better every year in terms of his bull rush, in terms of his hand usage. Really fast motor. Granted, though, he still needs work. I mean, but traits don't match production. That's always the worry. And, he's always like it's almost like he's still learning the game. Like, he has trouble diagnosing sometimes screens, trouble at times understanding, like, okay, keeping his pad level up, but team's going to fall in love. I mean, how many men walk around who are 6'6", 325 with his athleticism, and those guys can all of a sudden jump quickly? The biggest thing is going to be the health. I mean, is this going to be a recurring thing, a foot issue, or is this something that is just, hey, it's been nagging him, but if he plays this game, all of a sudden things will be sort of calmed down?
So on August 14th, Billy Napier said he was day-to-day. That's 3 weeks ago, and he still hasn't played. So, Billy Napier's always been like that with the injuries, very vague. It doesn't tell much about, Lagway all summer. He kind of kept it hidden. So he doesn't like to talk much about the injuries. You don't have to have the injury reports till SEC play. So we're going to find out more this week. Hopefully he plays, because we really need him to play this week. Our D-line interior depth is the worst on the team. We really missed him a lot this week. So hopefully he comes back. I really like him as an NFL prospect. At the end of the year last year, man, he was a great he started rushing the passer, like, for his size. He was the best defensive pass rusher in the nation. 2.5 sacks against Ole Miss, and then he had 2 the next week against LSU. So the end of the year last year, we really stepped it up, and he got on a lot of radars. He could have left last year, probably been a day 2 pick. Decided to come back, but you got to be healthy, like Chris said. If he gets healthy and produces, I think he can definitely be a first-round pick. He's one of my favorite D tackles in the draft.
Yeah, and Banks for me is number 27 on my board. So like he's if you do it by 32s, he's like right at the end of the first round. Round 2 guy for me that like graded. Didn't it come out recently that like his age is like a lot better than people thought? Like someone just made up that he was like 24. I don't know. I thought I saw that.
I think
somewhere.
I saw that. Yeah.
But he's actually like 22 and he's going to be 23. So like that's going to help his stock.
Oh, really? Nice.
I mean, of course, Chris talked about the size is what you love. Yeah, the size, the traits don't match the production. Couldn't have said any better. I think that it's just when he runs a stunt, he looks so athletic. His hands are violent. His hand swiping is great. But I mean, I would like, and this is me. I would like him to be a bit better in the run game. I think he still has ways to go. I think that he's a polarizing guy as a pass rush. When he develops a plan, when he gets the 2 to 3 moves that he can consistently rely on, he's going to be a monster. But it's a big if. He has the traits, he has the tools. Some NFL team is probably going to take him in the top 20 just based off that, because they're going to be like, listen, you don't get 6'6", 330 or whatever his weight is at, 325 anywhere. So this is This is gonna be a big. This is gonna be a big. If he plays, big test for him because I really want to see him show out against the top competition. And I think that with LSU's inexperienced younger O line, they completely revamped. He could have a field day, or this foot injury could really start bothering him.
He's the highest graded player in this game for me. How about you guys?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
good amount.
So you guys have Banks higher than Delane?
Yeah.
Because it's a size. It's six, as I said, it's 6'6", 325. So if you're, Cullen from Kansas City or Dennis Johnson from Baltimore, you're sitting there going, "Oh, we could have fun with this kind of guy," because he can, handle double teams, the bull rush. He can, we get it. We just coach him up a bit, and next thing you know, we get a Pro Bowler. We get a guy. We can unlock everything. And Dalton, you're gonna probably have to help us out here. Like the injury is the one that worries me. Is it? I mean, he said it's day to day. I mean, if we find out that it's like a torn Achilles or bone, or a broken bone in his foot, then all of a sudden he could drop because you're going, will this be something that recurs and that it hampers his career?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, I'm no doctor. I would probably say it's some sort of ligament damage in his foot that required surgery, and I think it's really just, maybe Napier thought, okay, it's gonna take a few more days and he'll be fine, but these things take time. Injuries take time. The smallest surgeries can take a while. So I think it really just comes down to that. I think Napier just really didn't understand that Kaleb Banks needs more time to heal his foot.
He probably thought we were going to win those first two games too. He could rest him.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, I think Banks highest graded for everyone. Then I got Whit Weeks, and I got Delane, and they're all like round 2 and above. So I mean, there's some good players in this game. There's some fun guys. But I think when it comes to Banks, as long as the injury works out and he's fine, he's going to be such an interesting player because a team like San Francisco or a team like Arizona, even like these are just guys that we've seen. I really like the San Francisco idea where you just got Michael Williams, who is another kind of traitsy guy, but he really showed out like he has the pass rush upside. This is the same thing with Banks. He has upside in every aspect of the game. He can defend the run. He can pass rush. So a team's gonna fall in love with him. A team like Seattle, I would love to see him go to Seattle, and then Byron Murphy can play more of a natural role for him. But there's a lot of possibilities. I mean, I can go on about Kaleb Banks and what he could be forever because we just talked about this in the Arkansas. We were talking about Taylon Green and how his traits, he could be this, but at the end of the day, we know what Taylon Green is. So Kaleb Banks could just be, what it's going to get to a point where we just know what Kaleb Banks is. He could have been this, but until proven otherwise, he's just this.
Where do you guys have Tyreak Sapp? We haven't talked about him at all.
I'll go first. Tyreak Sapp is a guy that you wish was more dominant. It's a shame because you look at him and there's nothing wrong with him. I mean, he's everything that you want in a defensive end in terms of, all right, look, he has a size. He's 6'3", 272 pounds. He sets the edge, very nasty, has basically effective cross chop to go with his pass rush move. He's fluid. He plays with leverage against a run. He has excellent hand technique. He's a reliable finisher. But he's not what we want in the current edge where it's like you have quick bendy action or you got to be a fast speed. And that's not his game. He only had 7 sacks last year, which means he's a complimentary rusher, not a dominant edge. He's not, if mobile quarterback's going to give him fits because he doesn't have a speed to get after them in terms of long-term speed. Again, he's like that Dietrich Wise, that George Karlaftis, where the motor is there. He's going to do everything. Defensive line coach is going to love him because he's going to just play the position. He's not going to freelance. It's just if you're expecting him to be great, he's not great. He's very good.
I think that's the best way to put it is he has his right now. He's good against the run. I like his anchor. I like his ability to attack at the line of scrimmage. He tries to knock the ball out. He's a very good run defender. He's a very high floor. Is what I'll say. Like his floor is a good run stuffing defensive end. And if he can develop the pass rushing, great. But for a guy with not great bend, I really don't like his first step. I don't like his athleticism overall. He's pushing 24 years old. I think that at this point, you kind of know what you have with Tyreak Sapp. And like this is what we just talked about with Banks. I think he's more to the point where we can look at him and say, at the end of the day, we haven't seen a pass rush game. He's pushing 24. He more than likely is just going to be this good. Like I don't want to like hate on his run stopping ability. He's a good run stuffer. And a guy like Dennis Allen, I always with big edge rushers, you always talk about Dennis Allen because that's just his type. He likes these bigger guys that come off the edge. So if he can go to a guy like Dennis Allen and figure it out, great. But at absolute worst, you're getting a nice run stuffer off the edge, and he can make an easy NFL living just doing that.
Yeah, I like what y'all said. 7.5 sacks is for a junior in the SEC. I don't think it's terrible. And he had one this week too. So I think his pass rush upside. I don't know. Maybe there's some untapped potential there. Like you said, his size is great. 6'2", 274. Maybe you can add a little bit more weight too. Maybe 10 pounds, and he can play interior, move along the line. That would help him in the NFL
or something.
Yeah, I think he could do that and still be effective, especially rush of the passer. It might even help him rush of the passer from the interior with his speed. So I think there's a lot of things you can do with him in the NFL. You got a round 3 grade on him right now, but he could go up a lot if he gets 9 sacks this year, maybe against SEC competition.
Yeah, I think round 3-ish is like round 3, round 4. You get a nice run stuffer at minimum. I like that.
I mean, the problem I guess we have here is when you consider the top, edge rushers, it's Keldrick Falk, it's Reuben Bain Jr., it's T.J. Parker, to an extent Mateo Ugalele or David Bailey. Yeah, they just fly. I mean, if you blink, they can get right by the quarterback. The tackle, get into the quarterback. We were talking about Missouri's Damon Wilson the second. That guy flies. You have to watch out for them. There is that burst, and they can destroy people if they're off their game. That's not Sapp. I mean, 7 sacks isn't anything to sneer about. It's just he's a bull rush guy. He's gonna handle the rush very well. He's not gonna chase down quarterbacks, though. I mean, he's good, not great. He is a solid steak and potatoes type of defensive end who you will count on, but you're not going to look at him and go, he's going to take over a game. He's going to just run ref shot over the offense tackles, and they're going to have to double team him, triple team him because, hey, he's just a man among boys.
And another thing that's good to point out is for guys who got legitimate snaps last year, he did have the best pass rush win rate on Florida last season at 12.9%, which isn't anything otherworldly, but leading an SEC team in Florida in pass rush win rate, that's a good accomplishment. So there could be something. For his age, there's a surprising amount of potential with Tyreak Sapp.
Yeah, I agree.
So have we done – I'm looking at the player list, and I think Whit Weeks might be the only highly ranked player that we haven't gone around the horn on.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
So, Hank, you want to talk about Whit Weeks and what you think of him?
Yeah, Whit Weeks. The one thing that sucks about Whit Weeks was that he broke his fibula in the bowl game last year. So, he's got to bounce back from that. But, I mean, other than that, I went to the LSU Oklahoma game last year in Death Valley. I was down there for Thanksgiving with some family. And you see number 40 walk on the field with a rolled-up jersey and sleeves and this helmet. And you're like, who the hell is that guy? Because he stands out. And he stands out on the field as well. I mean, he flies, and he's strong. His arms are strong. Twitchy doesn't even do him justice. He runs with his head on fire. I think that he gets off blocks better than some defensive tackles I've watched in this draft. Like he understands how to play run lanes. And he understands pursuit angles. And he understands how to block shed. Sideline to sideline athleticism and motor. He has the motor to complement this amazing athleticism. It's just I think that he could put on a bit more weight, but this is a guy where I wouldn't complain if he didn't, though, because he has the athleticism at 225 to where if he goes up 235, if he's going to lose a step, you don't really want him to do that. I think he can lose the ball through traffic, which is just like, if he's playing down the middle, it's like a read option. I think that it more comes out of like, he just gets lost behind the lineman. I think that his footwork and coverage needs a bit of improvement. But if you just want a really juiced up linebacker, twitchy athlete, guy with a lot of potential as well, traits. We've been talking about traits. This is a guy where the traits do produce, especially in the run game and wrapping up and tackling. Whit Weeks is your guy. I absolutely love Whit Weeks. I think he's going to be a great pro and a guy that a lot of NFL teams are going to want to get their hands on.
So Dalton, what do you think of Whit Weeks?
I like a lot what Hank said. I think he's a true 3-down linebacker, the next level. He can play multiple defensive schemes. He can fit in any of them, I think. Exceptional range and diagnostic ability in his game. He's way faster than his time speed. He's not going to run a great 40 or anything, but it doesn't matter. He plays faster than that. This frame's going to cause some hesitation, I think, for teams that like bigger linebackers, but his strength, I think, and technique is better. It will compensate for that, to say that. I think his pass rushing skills are underrated too. He can rush the passer when he needs to. I think he needs to put on a little bit of weight for me. 228 is a little small. I know he's fast. When he loses any speed, but I think in a NFL when teams run the ball 30, 40 times a game, he could get exposed.
Chris, how about you on Whit Weeks?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I mean, when I watch him play, I think a lot of Drew Tranquil in that same type of linebacker, excellent run stuffer. He's great in blitzes. He understands the perfect move, perfect blend of speed, technique. He had 19 pressures, third among SEC linebackers last year, and he wasn't the guy that they sent all the time. He has good quick hands, understands leverage. He plays with a nasty edge. Like he wants to hit somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You do worry about the frame, 6'2", 228, bigger offensive guards are going to try to just maul him. Still needs work in coverage. Like he can get flustered against tight ends who are more nuanced with their routes and understand tricks. He's more athletic than technique, so you're going to have to coach that up. And as you brought up, the broken fibia, that's going to, concerns about, hey, can he handle it? But everything else, I mean, as I said, and I've used it a couple times, just like Perkins, defensive coordinators are going to love this guy. He is a football player. He just eats, sleeps, breathes, tackling, attacking. I will always find a place for this guy. And as I said, he's Drew Tranquil. He does everything good, nothing maybe great, but there's no weakness. And you need guys like that because to play all four downs, you got to cover tight ends, you got to handle the run, and sometimes be the blitzer. To me, I think even Will Weeks is a guy who probably sneaks in there around that second, third round, depending on how he does the rest of the year, if he can maybe become a better coverage guy, and just how the draft shapes up for linebackers.
Okay. Well, we've been going here for a while. Why don't we pause? We have several people in the chat. MH, I think you and I have had a back and forth on YouTube about 5 or 6 times, assuming that this is the same account that frequently comments whenever we cover LSU on YouTube. So it's good to see you here. Rick, it's good to see you here. Thank you very much. And Ryan Sparks, always good to see you stop by. You'll see Ryan on these podcasts on occasion, so thanks for stopping by. Dalton, do you want to let everybody know who you are and what Home Squad Sports does?
Yeah, right now during the season we have shows every Monday afternoon at 12, Wednesday nights live at 8, review shows, preview shows, high school updates, all that good stuff. Always doing other stuff too, like high school, just random stuff we'll be dropping. So be sure to watch the show.
Well, Chris.
Yeah, you can check me out on theLastCallPodcast.com. Also check me out on Into the Lab Podcast Wednesday nights. I have I'm on Twitter, which is x.com/lastcall WChrisC. And I'm also on the YouTube channel, as well as I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn. We just did an interview with Marcel Dorf, where we're going to preview, recap UFC Paris. Also talk about the doubleheader UFC is doing with Canelo versus Crawford, and also at the same time, a UFC card all the way in Texas. So, yeah, check me out, and thank you guys for having me on again. I love being on the show.
Thanks for coming on. Hank.
Yeah, Hank Knows Ball, Twitter, Substack. That's it for now. So yeah, that's really it. If you want more draft, that's where it's at.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Draft Professor. If this is your first time stopping by, we're here every night at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern. And every single one of our podcasts is going to talk about players in one of the next two draft cycles most of the time. So what we're doing this week is we're doing game previews. Earlier, Hank and others covered the Ole Miss Arkansas game. This was the Florida-LSU game here at 9. Tomorrow, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Kansas State, Arizona. Wednesday, it's the Pitt, West Virginia, and the Texas A&M Notre Dame game. Thursday, Oregon, Northwestern, and Alabama, Wisconsin. And then Friday, Georgia, Tennessee, with James Foster and Sam Teets at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then Clemson, Georgia Tech will be at 9 p.m. on Friday night. In addition, Ryan Sparks in the chat will be on this channel to discuss the Cincinnati-Iowa State game on September 29th. So Ryan Sparks makes occasional podcast appearances here on the Draft Professor. So again, thanks for stopping by. We're here every day. So the best way to be notified of our content is to go to YouTube and hit that subscribe, please and thank you. If you want more draft content, you can follow the page at NFL Draft Fanatic. No, I am Fanatic on Twitter. And that being said, let's kind of close out the podcast. Quick survey, Dalton. Over under 10.5 players in this game will be drafted in 2026.
Over.
Chris, how about you? 10.5 players drafted, over or under?
Yeah, I'd go over. It'll probably be at least a dozen to 13 minimum, combine both teams.
Yeah, apparently I got to do a better job of counting because I was thinking that this was going to be a tougher over under, but Hank, 10.5 over under.
Yeah, I'd say you're probably looking at about a dozen, depending on who comes out. So that's probably
Yeah.
The only other thing that we should run through is just game prediction, and I think we're all good.
I have one quick question for Dalton. This is regarding the draft because with DJ Lang away, you're worried about the Anthony Richardson. So if you're Florida, who do you get for a new coach? Do you go after a guy like Ryan Silverfield of Memphis? Do you go after maybe more of a football coach like from the Army's Jeff Monken? Like if you're Florida, and let's say they lose this game, and all of a sudden they're calling fire Napier, who should they target to help improve DJ Langway? Because that is the future of Florida.
Oh. I'm not Dalton, but I'm going to tell you it's Brian Dable. Go ahead, Dalton.
No, it's not going to be. I hope it's somebody from a small school this time. We need somebody that's been there, done that, or at least close to it. Maybe Lane Kiffin is what I'm thinking.
Lane Kiffin, really? What's the guy at Boise State?
I would love Lane. I think he would leave too. Ole Miss doesn't have enough NIL money enough to support him.
The guy at Boise State, the guy at USF. If they do well, you could poach both of them. I don't know their names. Kenny Dillingham from Arizona State. If they struggle, he might want an SEC job. There's a lot of guys that are young out there that'll have the fire to come.
Texas Tech, McGuire at Texas Tech would be nice.
Yeah, that'd be another good option. I mean, Bill Belichick. I'm just kidding. Bring Urban Meyer back.
I don't know. I heard John Gruden, actually. I have heard John Gruden.
That wouldn't be bad. I could see him taking the Bama job. If DeBoer gets let go of, if they struggle again and Bama fans go after him, I could see John Gruden going to Bama. So there's a lot of good names. Florida's a hot spot for coaches.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I really think we could get Lane or somebody from a decent sized program to come. We keep hiring these guys. Like Billy Napier from Louisiana, we could have done better at the time. Yeah. Well, it wasn't a home run hire at the time. We didn't love it, and nothing's changed.
Yeah, I mean, like when Washington hired Jed Fish, I was pretty happy. So
yeah, great hire. Oh, we might get him. Nate's another guy on our list because he went to Florida.
Yeah, I mean, you never know with money nowadays. You can lose in the national championship game and lose your coach. So it just the way the world works. So yeah,
for sure.
So Dalton, what's your game prediction?
I think it'd be a low-scoring game, actually. Neither of the offenses have played great football at all. LSU was, supposed to be this potent offense, putting up 40 this year. And they put up 23 against Louisiana Tech. So I think this game will be low scoring, maybe I think 21-17 LSU, unfortunately. I can't – if it was in the Swamp, I'd probably lean the other way, but really hard to win at Death Valley at night, especially coming off a loss. You got a lot of pressure on you to win this week.
Hank, how about you?
Yeah, I think the home field advantage is going to be the decider here. I mean, in the Swamp is different, even though they just lost in the Swamp to USF. But I think that, I'm not going to say that. I think you could realistically see like a I think 24-13 is like a good number. I think it'll be just hard fought, grimy. Maybe LSU pulls away mid third quarter. They get a nice little passing touchdown to go up 10 or something. But I think at some point LSU will pull away late. But I just don't see the Florida offense hanging in this one. I don't think either offense is that amazing right now.
Chris?
I'll go 24-17. I just think Nussmeier alone is going to be the key because he's not going to make stupid mistakes. I think Brian Kelly is just a better coach. And look, Florida has more talent. That's as I said, Florida's the most frustrating team in college football because you look and you go, if you only had a coach who just could coach football and not, look at it, bury his face into the play calling sheet like as if it's a TGI Fridays menu, you'd be fine. But yeah, so just give me LSU by 7 and we start the Fire Napier chant all over again.
Yeah, hopefully. I really hope I hope he goes. It's time for a new face. It's time for a fresh start.
We got 4. We might go 0-4 these next couple games. So if that happens, it's definitely.
Oh yeah, he'll be long gone. I think. I just there's at this point there's no real positive besides recruiting, which is only going to get worse with these bad results, to keep him around. There's just nothing that the program can look at Billy Napier if he loses like 2 out of the next 3 and be like, this is why we should keep him around. They're running out of ideas.
Yeah, it sucks, man. I want us to be good again.
At least you got basketball. You're in basketball school.
That's
now.
true. I have a basketball school now. That's sad.
Well, I'm going to throw out 2 predictions. I think this game has 3 first-round picks in it. I think Nussmeier and Delane from LSU are taken in round 1. I think Kaleb Banks is taken in round 1. I'm going to go 2-1 there, and I'm going to say LSU. I think there's going to be more offense than the collective here thought. I'll say something like LSU will say 34-20.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sure that's close to the over-under for the game. It's probably way closer, so that's probably a better prediction.
Oh, and yeah, you definitely don't take my prediction seriously.
Yeah, I almost nailed the SMU Baylor prediction. I said it'd be high scoring. I said it'd be a shootout, way over the over-under, and I said SMU would win, and that's what made me fail. So they ended up losing.
Well, everybody was on SMU, man. I was on Baylor. Sally Robertson's good. I don't. You don't like him yet.
He's a stat sheet filler.
He's gonna get you. He's gonna get you, man.
He's a stat
so
sheet.
I do want to give a shout out also to the chat. We had a very active chat on this podcast. So all of you that stopped by, we had at least 1 fan from LSU and 1 fan from Florida in the chat. So that was actually kind of cool. And as far as the player Bernard Gooden, we've done a Florida breakdown. We've done an LSU breakdown, and Gooden's on LSU. Even Noah Tingle never mentioned Bernard Gooden as being draft eligible. So we're going to go back and we're going to check draft eligibility here. But I don't know that anybody, this is like the 3rd or 4th time we've covered LSU in the channel. I don't know that name ever came up before. So
he's the guy he's really undersized for D tackle. Yeah. He's 6'1", like 270. And I like Hank. He's not Santana Hopper. He's not Santana Hopper. And that's Santana Hopper's my boy. But he's just not him. And especially for the SEC, that's small. That's really small.
So for Hank, for Chris, for Dalton, for myself, for the 92 podcasters at the Draft Professor, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being an active chat. We will see you on a podcast again tomorrow night. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.